Hello, everyone. My name is Sean. I am the Crypto Smith, and welcome back to my channel. I have been waiting for nearly 3 years now to make this video. This is going to end another chapter in the saga of the SEC versus Ripple case. What am I talking about? Well, check this out. In a landmark SEC surrender, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Executive Chairman Chris Larsen are cleared of all baseless allegations. This came in earlier today. Unfortunately, everything good happens while I'm at work, so I have to wait till I get home and change my clothes and get everything all together so I can bring you guys this super important information. Let's dig into it a little further. Today's decision is another victory for Ripple after 3 years of misguided SEC scrutiny. San Francisco Today. The leader in enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions announced today that CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Executive Chairman Chris Larsen were cleared of all claims brought against them by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC voted to dismiss charges with prejudice, a stunning capitulation by the government. And what does with prejudice means? That means they cannot bring this up at a later date. They can't decide, hey, you know what, we made a mistake in dropping the charges. Let's go ahead and bring those charges back up. They cannot do that. It is with prejudice. That is what that means. The victory is the third consecutive triumph for Garlinghouse, Larsen, and Ripple, which means what? Which means it's the third loss for the SEC. Coming on the heels of the July 2023 ruling that declared XRP is not in and of itself a security, right? The biggest win for the XRP army out there. Those of you who hold XRP or believe in XRP, or even if you don't, and you're just in crypto in general, it was a very good thing that the judge was able to make that statement, which means that statement could be made for other tokens out there, right? Because you have to understand that every time they say, oh, this is a security or that's security, that is not how it works. The underlying asset has never, ever in the history of ever been named a security in and of itself. It can be sold as a security, as an illegal security offering, but the asset underneath cannot be a security just by itself. So understanding that, let's continue. For nearly 3 years, Chris and I have been the subject of baseless allegations from a rogue regulator with a political agenda, said Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Instead of looking for criminals stealing customer funds on offshore exchanges that were courting political favor, the SEC went after the good guys along with our entire company of innovators and entrepreneurs. What's he talking about? He's throwing a little dig there at the SEC because they were basically seen dating Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole FTX debacle where he basically allegedly is stealing customer funds in order to use for his own purposes and use for trading, which of course is illegal. And SBF is going through a court case right now, which looks very bad for him. And instead of doing that, looking at the bad guys out there, the bad apples, the bad actors, they're looking at the good companies and trying to get money out of them. So let's check out what's going on X. Here's Stuart Alderati. He is the head legal counsel for Ripple. He says the SEC made a serious mistake going after Brad and Chris personally, and now they've capitulated, dismissing all charges against our executives. This is not a settlement. This is a good distinction here. They didn't settle anything. They just absolutely dropped all charges, which means they surrendered. They surrendered the case. They tucked the tail between the legs and ran off like a scared little puppy, as they should. And he further goes into that's 3 consecutive wins for Ripple. And including, he's basically going over what the article was saying. And Brad Garlinghouse had this to say on X as well. Today was an even better day. Ripple 3, SEC, goose egg. In all seriousness, Chris and I, in a case involving no claims of fraud or misrepresentations, were targeted by the SEC in a ruthless attempt to personally ruin us and the company so many have worked hard to build for over a decade. The SEC repeatedly kept its eye off the ball while secretly meeting with the likes of SBF, which is what was mentioned in the article, failing again and again to protect U.S. consumers and businesses. How many millions of taxpayer dollars were wasted? Feels good to finally be vindicated. So yes, it does feel good. It feels good. It feels good for us as well out here in the crypto community at large. And let's go, of course, over to John Deaton. We cannot do this without John Deaton. He is one of the leaders of the XRP army. He says, I've said from day one that the way the SEC filed this case, rushing it out on Clayton's last day and suing Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen individually, although no fraud was found, would prove to be a huge mistake. How could they be reckless if the SEC itself couldn't decide? Basically, he's stating how is it possible that Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson were so reckless in the sales of XRP because they should have known it was a security, even though the SEC in 2018 had no idea how to classify it. So obviously, this was done just as a bullying tactic or a negotiation tactic, trying to get them to negotiate at some point along the way so they didn't have to draw it out. They didn't have to risk losing the case and they could claim a big victory, hopefully early on, but that didn't work. Brad and Chris and Ripple, they took it to the mat. They were going down all the way, win or lose. They were not going to surrender to the SEC, just as the SEC just now surrendered to Ripple. Now, of course, let's go to the chart because everybody thinks the chart is going to go nuts now, right? Great news for XRP. So all-time highs? No. We got a bump, and we deserve a bump on good news. That's always good to see. So we are up a little bit, up to 52 cents currently. Ultimately, we're going to go back down and fall within that 50-cent range like we have been consolidated in for some time. I don't really see all-time highs being broken or things going really crazy until there's some sort of confirmation of utility and use case out there in the real world. We need to see institutional investors. We need to see these large financial companies starting to say, yes, we're using Ripple. The banks, yes, we're using Ripple's products and XRP. Then we may start to see this thing start to climb. Of course, we do need a bull run for that to happen, and maybe that's going to happen. The halving could help start it. Spot Bitcoin ETF getting approved could help start it. We don't really know what's really going to be the catalyst to get this market moving again, but I really hope it's soon because I am so tired of this flat, boring, dead bear market we've been stuck in for a very long time. It's depressing. I want to get out of this and move on and hopefully make a little money along the way. So having said all of this, I do hope you enjoyed this update. Hopefully you're happy for XRP and for Ripple and everybody out there in the crypto space. This is good news. Any loss for the SEC is great for crypto in general. Give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. For that, I do really appreciate it. That's the entire reason that I'm here, and I will see you guys next time.